FNCS winning pedigree in the deal as well. This duo have very good chemistry. When they make it to that end game, they're looking very, very strong. And I hope that they're able to pull it out today because they were doing very well this season. Right?
Yeah, and having played with so many players across the way as well, you're going to learn everything is an experience every single time. You can bring it all to your game, and maybe this is going to be the one. Let's have another quick look here at other players that are going to be taking part here. I mean, Takata, anyone else who really sticks out? We've got the likes of Cammy and Seti, other massive teams. Who jumps off the page for you?
I want to talk a bit about Cammy and Seti, actually, as now in the grand finals, it's a little bit more elimination heavy at 4 points per elimination. And we know how consistent Cammy and Seti play. They're also in an uncontested drop spot, but I don't know if it's going to get the best of them, Mini.
It's difficult for this duo, right? Because, of course, as you mentioned, they're playing very consistently. They didn't actually make it out of opens in week 1 of the competition. So a lot of people had a few question marks over this duo. Will they be able to keep it up and keep up that good form that we've seen from the past? They have. Week 2, week 3, also very, very solid, very strong. As you mentioned, though, 4 points per elimination might pose a few issues for them. They're not the most aggressive duo. We all know that. So maybe it might be difficult for them. But I have no doubt that they'll get a top 5. Can they win, though? I'm not sure.
Wait and see. I mean, do you think general consensus is here that eliminations are the way to go here? And placing points count for so much here, Takata, but eliminations, you really propel yourself up the leaderboard if you get those.
Look, you need multiple pieces of the pie, right? You can't go just with eliminations. You can't go just with placement. You got to get a bit of both.
It's the combination. It's the combination. You know, one team which are, we are so synonymous with this competition, who we're really excited about as well, who we love to talk about, and it's going to just praise for a moment as well, because we have such high hopes, are Queasy and Vino. Okay, they are a team that everyone, assumes might go all the way in this competition as well. Why? I mean, look at Queasy, some of his stats here, great accolades here. Minnie, what makes him such a special player?
I mean, we talk about Queasy so often. We almost talk about it every single show. I think I have dreams about Queasy and Veno during the night because it's always on my mind.
Okay, wait a minute. All right.
But of course, Queasy, with all of his experience leading Veno, of course, 2-time FNCS champion in multiple different game modes, of course, duos and trios. This is a duo that can get it done, particularly with how they're playing.
Look, I'm rowing the boat you're on, Minnie. If I have to take a chance on a duo here, it's going to be Queasy and Vino to take it home.
Yeah, of course. But now, of course, we need to take a look at their off-spawn, their mid-game strategies, because that's what sets them apart. It's the little things that they do that really set them apart from the rest. And we can see them, of course, getting these kinetic blades off-spawn allows them to rotate and be a little bit more split, Takata.
Right, there's 34 chests in the surrounding sphere of Kenjutsu Crossing, and they maximize the efficiency of looting those chests, of securing that capture point while using a shield keg to recuperate their shield, and even securing metal, which is pretty scarce in this side of the map close to the gas station.
Yeah, it definitely is. And, of course, we see them actually controlling the teams around them as well. We saw this from Queasy, one of the qualifiers, actually forcing Jalen off of this hill, getting onto the high ground position, which then, of course, he used to his advantage, getting so many Storm Surge tags, and, of course, getting those Storm Surge tags early on just gives them that freedom, that flexibility to rotate wherever, however, and whenever they'd like.
And what I love so much about this duo is they're very smart about how they take their engagements. They saw a combat cache appear here, and instantly went to get it, but a duo made it there first. And instead of going directly in for the eliminations, they stayed a few boxes away, taking shots, trying to do a bit of damage, but not getting overly aggressive. Their main goal of this engagement was just to secure that combat cache.
This just screams confidence to me, because a lot of teams, especially newer teams, would think we have to take these players out to get that Storm Surge, but these guys know we have our Storm Surge strategies nailed. We don't need to get these eliminations. We don't need this loot, because as we see here, yet again, another example, getting a beautiful beam onto Perceive, but they're thinking, no, we're not going to get these eliminations. We're going to focus on the placement. We're going to focus on our positioning, and we can even see them setting up for success in endgame as well.
Yeah, and because of this damage that they got early on, they're the first ones to rotate to the edge of the zone here. And with a spare time, they're always doing something. Here, they're fishing, might be able to play a lot later. They are always one step ahead of the game.
Just setting up all of those win conditions throughout that whole endgame. As it happened in this game, Queasy didn't even need to use them because, of course, it was just a perfect positioning, a perfect endgame played out. They went for high as Queasy and Veno does. I don't think we need to see the rest of this because
we know what happens.
Knows what happens. Everyone knows the story. Yeah. But, of course, a great performance and a great little tactics that these guys use. The little things that make them different.
Well, absolutely. I mean, obviously, previous FNCS champions, well, both of them in different teams and such. But, thinking about their kind of failures and successes as well, we touched on this last week, but you learn so much from those moments where it doesn't work in your favor as well. And they've had those moments, and they seem to always, it kind of catapults them forward. They learn from them so well. And that's why they seem every season to get better and better and better to Carter. And they seem like they're primed and ready to go in a great position now.
I mean, that's what Fortnite Competitive is about. Adapting, learning from your mistakes, and just learning everything you can from the previous matches. Even going into two-day tournaments like these grand finals, when you have to play day one, Queasy and Vino are going to be seeing what they did wrong, seeing what they can change, seeing seeing what their opponents can do. And I mean, with amazing coach BloodX, you know they're going to get it done.
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, even from previously, they haven't actually won an FNCS yet, so this could be their time.
Will it be their time? Will Queasy and Vino actually do it and go all the way? 12 games is going to tell us exactly who's going to walk with the AXA champions. Now, we touched earlier on about, you guys being electric analysts, lightning. We need to complete the weather front now and introduce a couple of hurricanes to the mix here. Let's bring out our casters. It's Shio Wager, 11-2K! Oh,
give me that. Oh,
wow. That was just spontaneous. It felt organic in the moment. What's going on, man? Good to see you. Good to see you. Mate, we've got 12 games of Fortnite here. This is still going.
The longest handshake.
That's why this is special. This is special. Hey, but not awkward. Just embracing it. I'm embracing it. I think that's the great thing about this competition. Obviously, we've got so many great teams. We've touched on some of them here as well. Grand Final, 12 games. I mean, what are players you'd have to do consistency-wise? What do you think is going to happen across the next 12 games?
It is such a tough lobby to play in, right? All the effort you put in this season comes down to here. But the hardest part is you've never played in a lobby this difficult. If you're any of the players in this one, like, you literally have no experience of this.
Yeah, absolutely. And the combination of it is so different too, right? All the people from Surgery that come in, there's some who have so much practice week after week, like we were mentioning, Savage with the back-to-back, Squeeze with the control. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, no, it really is. We have so many of our top teams going in uncontested as well. We, of course, have contested drops as well for Mr. Savage. Of course, uncontested. We have Thomas HG Malibuca contested. It's going to be interesting to see how they manage those different situations.
Right, we have all these veterans, but there's also a few first-time Grand Finalists in the mix today. So let's hope they did their prep, they did their homework, and they're ready for the storm that awaits them.
Look, historically, it's hard for the first time. So, I'll go a bit easy on the first timers this time round.
Yeah. Okay, well, listen, it's all coming our way here. We have got game one imminent here, but Shio 11 will get you in position in a second here. For you guys watching, 12 games, Grand Finals, 2 days. Who will go all the way? It starts right here. It's time to brace for chaos. It's time for game number 1.
Hey, welcome to EU's Grand Finals, day number 1. And you know what they say, I never seen two pretty best friends.
7-2K.
Shio Wager, and we're looking really mighty fine. Getting ready for these 12 games.
I'm really excited, Shio. I'm really, really excited because all throughout the week I've been seeing and talking to different players. All they can tell me about is I've done this prep, I've been researching this, I've been planning this, I've been watching that team that lands near me, that team that lands near me, figuring out all the different things I can do against.
Yeah, there's planning, and now it's kind of time for action. This is where nerves are into play, right? It's not just theory crafting, blueprints, it's actual foot on the ground work that players have to do.
Yeah, and a lot of work, right? Because Storm Surge in these lobbies, for one, is a whole different ball game. The difficulty, right? Things you could get away with in Qualifier 1, Qualifier 2, Qualifier 3, you cannot get away with here. You have to be perfect if you want to win the FNCS Grand Finals. And that journey begins now here in Game 1. Shio, who's it going to be? Who are you looking at and thinking they're going to walk away with it by the end of today?
I got a seesaw with, I think, the entire community and myself, Queasy and Vino on one side, and then a little bit of a pocket pick, Swizzy and Shimoki on the other. I feel like opposite sides of the map, depending on where the zones go for this Grand Finals so heavily, we've seen in the past. Sometimes fights have that happen too. Turns the things around. It's very nice to get a nice pick up on a Pachawa at the start of the game.
That is wonderful. A brilliant start for David White, a team that's experiencing their first FNCS final and beating off a very experienced team of Spawn. Onto another big off-Spawn fight will be following Thomas and Malibuca.
This is not a fight, this is a war. One with so much planning, so much back and forth from the weeks all the way to Surge Week with Tusen Kuchik also. Now everyone's up in the business.
And this is a bit of a surprise. If you've watched any competitive Fortnite this season, Racetrack off Spawn is usually one of the most 50-50 fights you get, right? You sort of drop in, land, and it's over. These teams right now, both players, both teams trying to, build up, get some materials, to then take the fight maybe, or maybe even just engage it. If they both disengage from this and try to play out the game, that would be an even bigger show.
That's an even bigger show for us to watch tonight. Big thing too for the rest of the lobby. We have so much contestation. Many are talking about it. 92 players still up in the lobby. Everyone seems like they're on that disengaged bandwagon.
Understandably, the stakes are so high, right? Of course, we know players are playing for big amounts of prizes, the acts of champions. But if you finish in that top 5 after day 2, you secure a spot to the global championships, and that's where everybody in this lobby really wants to be.
Yeah, last season it was the top 2, stakes even tighter, with the top 5 being up for grabs now. How does that change things? That means top 15 people who are there in game 11 still have a chance to have huge stakes attached to their name. We'll come right back to that in a second, because looks like Thomas and Malibuca do not want to go the disengage route. They're looking for angles and fights. Uncharacteristic misses from Thomas on the right side. What a nice angle, though. Shield bubble makes it so that Malibuca has to be forced into the 2v1, but has a high ground position. They kind of have control over this all around. So I don't think Future and Tuce have match for the moment. It's Thomas and Malibuca in control.
Yeah, and I think the tough thing about this battle, Shai, was that, you know, you look at this battle and you think, okay, good, maybe Thomas and Malibuca win this one and they go on to have a decent game. But the nature of this fight here just means it can swing either way. And I think over the course of 12 games, it's probably going to be somewhat even. Some people I've seen even predicting Futric and Tuce to win more times than not off spawn, and I can definitely see that happen. It happened before in previous qualifying weeks.
That was a 4-2 overall. And even if they do win this little bit of a fight, cycle of life, Predator becomes the prey. They have Shakos and Skydune on the backside looking to see exactly who comes out on top. Looking for a few pot shots, but they're just on rotation. This fight is still going on. Malibuca Thomas stretched for mats in time. A big shot on the Tuce's head though. As Thomas pressures the back wall. As that stair edit still held through the wall. Finicky.
Incredibly. Malibuca down makes it so much tougher for Thomas. The combat shotgun isn't going to be the most ideal weapon he wants in this situation, especially with Shakos and Skydune just on his back, taking a look, and yeah, he doesn't even have enough mats to protect himself here. He falls. Malibuca and Thomas down in game one.
No one really got Thomas's loot just yet, but Skydune's there with the kinetic blade. They just want to get in and get out. They've done their job here so far, just to be annoying. Let's pop up that metal. Let's keep moving.
When we talk about teams and their preparation, teams and their surge strats, this is clearly something Skydune and Shakos have had in mind all week long, that they want to be the one to roll into the racetrack fight and look to see if they can pick up some tags, even third party in here in game one, an ideal situation where they even pick up an limb for it.
On the other side of things, Gabex doing his best chance and job to get Shmeki back in tow.
Yeah, this is going to be another one of those fights we have to watch out for. Howley and Eltenzi up against Gabix and Shmeki. And it's a really tough situation to be in. A nice shot there from Gabix. And we'll follow that fight all throughout. So they actually spoke to Shmeki before the tournament. He understands the difficulty of the situation they're in, right? Being contested off spawn at Lonely Labs. He knows that all the teams around them in that Lonely Labs area are going to be looking to try and third party them and make their day a very difficult one. But he's up for the challenge.
Salam alaikum. Alaikum salam.
Now we're on to the talk of the town, Queasy and Vino. Kenjutsu Crossing already have one team down. How did that start? Because from what we saw, they'd be uncontested. Starkey and Drayson. They move a little bit more south. They want no one interrupting their spot at all. And now they got a little bit of extra metal to rock with too.
Alaikum salam.
Yeah, and of course they are uncontested, but you know they don't want anyone disrupting their path. Vino often likes to instantly land at the top of Kenjutsu, then quickly kinetic blade out to that south area where those guys were. So quickly letting them know, look, we ain't letting you have that. You better find somewhere else to loot over the next 12 games because it's not going to be here.
That's the attitude in game one. That's going to be so tough. If you're a team one coming through, have your game plan, and it's one of the best teams on EU. Shoving you completely out. Savage Vidil. Naughty Nats, Loa rocking through as well. They have to kind of cut through Kenjutsu Classic for this zone. Have to be careful.
Já comeu pão com quequezão?
This position, it's not possible to play like this.
It's Queasy and Vino here that are capitalizing off of their positioning right now, taking shots from every which way, and this is a team that's been getting so much hype this season, and understandably, right? They've had a great season, had a great one, they're uncontested, but their surge strategies, in my opinion, haven't quite been solidified, and you're seeing them struggling here in the mid-game. Mr. Savage down, Vino's the one that's taking him out, and for Vidil to even do anything significant here would be a big surprise. If you can maybe just get the reboot card and get out, that would be that most ideal situation.
Oh, Vino's got everything. He's like a metal detector on a beach, finding everything of value between the rough. No matter who is coming through on their spot, this man will find a way to turn it into points. Escapes through the ravine.
That's what Vino does. That's what he does best. That's what makes him considered one of the best players in the world. But here over at the Citadel, I see Snazy, I see Podesai. Everybody expected to see Shimoki and Swizzy here. So we got Taco on the sideline to fill us in. What's going on right now, Taco?
Well, that's part of the fun, Levin, because when it comes to grand finals, regardless of how much prep a team might put in, you never know who's going to try to actually be a thorn in your side. And this time, it's Snazy, it's Podesai. They are taking over the Citadel, instantly double eliminating Swizzy and Shimoki in the process and setting themselves up for a pretty nice-looking game one.
As somebody who is well-versed in the art of pickaxing off spawn, you got to fully commit. You saw he didn't commit, and eventually they both get taken out. That is huge, though, right? Because I think people suspected it, right? I've seen people in the community suspecting, look, there's no way Snazy and Podesai land where they're landing. They're going to go to Citadel. And here in game one, whipping out all the stops already.
Yo, if I'm Floki and Clement, I'm happy. This is kind of uncontested. And that's kind of unprecedented for that team. Usually they're the ones who have so much trouble off spawn in rotations. That's not much of a big move from Podesai either. It's just kind of one grid to the right on the left side of the map, and controlling Citadel is going to be huge.
Yeah, and it's a place they've landed at this season at times, and so there was always the sort of idea that they could do it. I think the biggest losers in the situation, though, obviously Swizzy and Shimoki. This is a team that many people, including myself, believe could easily get top 5 uncontested throughout all the games. If they're going to have to fight off spawn 12 out of 12, it could be a whole different tournament for them.
It's the Kryptonite. That's, I think, the biggest weakness for that team. I think Swizzy and Shimoki, you can add another S word in their synergy is kind of what we've seen from them week after week in the quals. Major after major in the FNCS as well. Chasing a mustache for me is just an attitude. What is on their mind when it comes to this major itself? They're kind of fully qualified for globals. They're looking good overall in terms of the way they want to work. Is it the back-to-back that they want to have in their pocket as well? You tell me.
Well, I'll let Tayson tell you, because I spoke to Tayson, and I'll read what he said word for word.
Okay.
I said to Tayson, are you feeling confident about this weekend? And he said, nah. Not been playing as me lately. Queasy and Vino are really good right now.
Ooh.
So he's aware of his biggest competition. He knows right now that they aren't necessarily the top dogs in the lobby. And of course, they're the reigning champions, and it's Tayson at the end of the day. He could say that, and I still think he could come out and win the whole thing. But clearly not feeling as confident to do the back-to-back that everybody wants him to do.
I actually like that a lot, though, from their perspective, because it's less pressure on them. I think a lot of the times when it comes to back-to-back winners, you switch up game plans, you have so many more eyes on you for that expectation. It feels like Queasy Vino have already won the last FNCS and the 20 that came before it on how much people are hyping them up.
Yeah.
With Tayson and Mustache not having that pressure at all, that could be a good thing for them.
That could be a huge, huge thing for them. I think they showed us that many times this season that they are still an elite team. Even if Tayson doesn't feel like he's at his best, his 50% is better than everybody's 100%, right?
He's the main character.
He is the main character.
Kyrie and Ping want to get to that point. One of the ways you guys can have main character power this season is getting some of these loot caches that drop down. That being said, with how jam-packed EU is, how many people stay alive, it'll always be a fight to get this free loot. It's not so free some of the time.
Not so free. Not so free, and understandably, right? If you have that cash, you want to make sure you fight for it. The loot there is so, so valuable. And so we often see everybody in the map sort of fighting for them. The best case scenario is you find one that's uncontested, no one's fighting for it, but you don't always get that benefit. The zone pulling towards the southwest, which is bad for some teams, good for others. I think the one team I definitely have in mind is Queasy and Vino. Of course, we mentioned them a bunch, but the analysts at the start of the day breaking down some of their best games. And one of their best zones is this one here. They've played it so many times, they're very familiar.
I think it's because from Kenjutsu having those kinetic blades and just this type of mobility this season, it's just permanent renewal of movement. Vertical, any way that you want. And for Queasy Vino, they have these pockets that they create these moments where you have a 1-second decision to make. That kinetic blade allows you to do that. They get to control all this stuff. They get to see it from their POI as well and keep moving. Vino as a front man, it's huge.
Yeah, and they obviously want to wrap around the south side, right? Get to dead side. We know that's how they like to play. The problem is, right, you see on the minimap, there's that one team there sort of just on the island.
Yeah.
Just right there that has the potential to hold them. So they have to be a bit wary in terms of how they rotate it. But like you said, with the kinetic blades, they just have that freedom of movement. Wouldn't be surprised if they just went deep into the actual ocean as well, just to try and avoid those guys.
It's scary too. I mean, even if they want to fight, the coolest thing about Queasy and Vino, I love their vertical pinches on fights where Queasy ends up being a little bit further back and high and Vino's up in the business. Kinetic blades that just let you do that without any prep, which is very scary if you're a team that is really ready for it. Lacha and Mixon, they're waiting for this island to spawn in. The question is, will they rise to the top and get those pulse rifles.
Yeah, I think the bigger story of today is going to be about which team is going to be claiming this game after game. You know, certain teams want to condition for it. My biggest fear coming into today was that Malibuca and Thomas would be able to get those pulse rifles for free game after game. We saw already how they started, and so that's not going to be the case here in game one. But right now, Blackcher and Mixon are the ones contesting for it, but will they be the only team contesting for it?
I mean, from what we've seen in all quals and Surge Week, every time this island spawns, it's 2 or 3 teams that end up base. And this is one of the first times I've seen it so quiet. Might just be on where it is on the map, because a lot of the times, yeah, we don't even see the zones pulling in all the way towards the bottom left. Pablo Wingu, Bevy's up in the business. Aggression, is it starting now or is it ramping up over the 2 days?
I don't know what I'm going to get from this team, right? I feel like last season, we saw the highest of highs, and this season it's been a mixed bag, right? One day they're playing lights out, the other day it's nowhere to be found, and I think they were obviously able to make their way into this stage through surgery a lot later than I think many would have expected. I don't think many people will have them as, you know, incredibly high in their rankings of who can do well today, just because they haven't quite shown us that this season.
On the opposite side, for some reason, incredibly low on the rankings for some people, Steady Cammy. But I feel like you don't agree with that at all, Levin.
Yeah, I think this team is more than good enough to win the FNCS this season. I think a lot of people have slept on them. The start of the season wasn't great, right? The start of the season was not great for this team, and so I understand why people are feeling like, hey, look, Cammy, so you haven't been playing as well and whatnot. That's been a narrative. But this team is the real deal in my eyes. I think leading up to the FNCS, we've seen their form increase and rise. They've been playing so well. And it's hard to actually imagine that, because towards the start of the season, Shai, they almost split up. A lot of people don't know that. My sources let me know, right? These guys almost split up. This was potentially going to be the last time Cammy and Seti played together. But I think a good performance this weekend will keep them going throughout the end of the year and at least into globals. And I definitely think a good performance is well within their reach.
Let's see what they have packing soon. Zara, Zangi have to get the zone to interact with any teams, even the likes of Steady and Cammy. Storm Surge active, not in trouble just yet. If you guys are unfamiliar with what this means, why every team is kind of just going a little bit back and forth, it's all about doing damage and being above a threshold. You can see it on the right side. If you don't do enough and you're below that threshold, you start to take a lot of damage. So it's a mechanic that allows every team in this lobby to have a purpose as they're moving around, try to fight. Thing is, though, it's hard to get that damage. So many people like to cover their tracks, stay protected. A lot of people struggle in the grand finals.
Especially in the grand finals, right? Because people are so much safer.
Yeah.
Right? Where in some stages, some lobbies, teams maybe will run out and try and be a bit greedy about not using builds. In grand finals, people will make sure they block every single angle at all times.
Like I've seen it now, just this will happen one time, or some of the times when you're going for Surge, it's not just pot shots from afar, you're forced to get into fights. He's in the business getting finishes. That's Shmeki, who got booted up and is knocked down again. Pixie and Della, for them also, a completely different circumstance this season. I believe it was the top 5 in FNCS Major 1. They were so close to having that global championship as well. I mean, walked away with $60,000, but now I feel like this season they're ready to upgrade, stay inside that top 5, and cement themselves as a duo not to be messed with in EU.
That would definitely be the progression I think many expect. This is a team that you can expect to see at high ground at some point today. That's a style that has worked very well for them. And I definitely would love to see that, right? Where, you know, maybe after such a top performance, bursting onto the scene last major, quieting up a bit, but here in the finals, a chance to, like you said, get loud again and maybe secure that spot in the global championship.
I feel like the meta works for them really well. You just are able to shadow a lot of the time the people around you, not be that loud foot, the loud noise on the server. Not going to be the case in this one. Somehow, the left click on the kinetic actually jukes a few shots for Della. Few troubles with the edits, but it's so hard to make sure that you're protected on all sides where you're getting focused, and then also trying to get out. Pixie falling down, not able to protect the knocked body, but Della can finally find a way to maybe move out of the edges of Frenzy Fields. His mat count so low. We're out of metal. He's running through brick, and he might be out of time soon. Ooh, 2 shots through 1 second on the builds. It'll be Vortex and Japco to get all his mats.
It's a tough spot to be in. So many players in this area. So congested, and with Blackcher and Mixon with the pulse rifles just causing havoc. At any given moment, you know those guys could be melting down your walls. It just makes it so awkward to fight here.
Gotta be super careful. And for some of these people, even though it's an awkward fight, this is where they want to be. Vortex Japko not gonna have many chances to try to snipe people from afar. They want to get into a box fight soon. You can see on the right side, the damage threshold just 30 above. They need more damage. You want to be triple digits, 100, 200, 300 above.
Yeah, but they hear those players connect blade in a way. They got to be looking at that, looking for opportunities to take shots at players while they're vulnerable.
It's so tough to just be at peak in these grand finals. Even if you're getting rattled down, you have to be aware, as Levin says, as to what's going on around you. If you ever your entire checklist just worked out, if everything's good, you're like Mr. Savage. Look at this rotation. Bottom side from the left on Steamy Springs. This is where all the duels are. How he got here and is unscathed and has damage, it's so impressive.
The problem is he hasn't got materials.
Yeah.
Materials looking really, really bad for him, and so he's going to have to look to try and farm up somewhere. But realistically, the best option for them is to just try and get a refresh of some sort. Take a fight with somebody, hope they don't have to commit too much in it, and hope the team they have a fight with is in a much stronger position than they are.
If it's the first time watching since last major as well, you might notice on the bottom right, it's 6 out of 12 zones. By now, the zones would have been already moving. It'd be super jam-packed action left to right. Now, kind of zone 9 is where that action starts to begin. So for 7, it's kind of our first half and half. A little bit bigger for the teams to fit in. It makes it harder, though, for all the players. You have to keep using more and more mats for every single rotation. Like 3 more zones, basically, of mats to use.
Yeah, it's one of the biggest skill gaps, right? Being able to conserve materials and being efficient in the way you go about that. For Podesai and Snazy, the parry right now is not just preserving materials, it's to just actually stay alive. Snazy has been knocked, and with this spray coming in, I don't think Podesai is going to get a chance to revive right now. He's going to have to hope they stop. He's trying to drop the team down, and even as he goes down, taking damage. Trying to find that right timing, and he might have just found it by dropping down one box there.
Should be good, but I'm not sure if they have splashes to get fast heals back up. Podesai drops down. They have a little bit of time to mini up before they move.
You heard them. And so decided, yeah, I'd rather just play this game out as a solo than trying to go for the revive. Snazy, you're going to have to watch from the back.
Every duo then moves. This is where Pablo Wingo and Bevies have the best type of action. Unscathed rotation on this part, but if anyone does show themselves even for a second, you can expect the punish. Being held by Seti and Kemi, feels like that duo hasn't moved since the game started. And now the game's coming to them.
But that's exactly what you want. How we talked about being able to preserve materials. If you ain't got to move, how much materials are you really going to spend?
And this is such a classic Seti Kemi position. You have someone really loud right on top of your build. Usually sometimes Thomas HD in past seasons who love to just take shots with their boxes open. You can control everything happening on the lower end of the spectrum. All the pressure absorbed by the sky. It's huge. Vanya next to that box as well. Queasy Vino don't look really to be interrupted on the rotation. This is exactly where they want to be.
Yeah, this is an example of the team in a really, really nice spot. Surges well above the threshold. They have priority to get to that next zone as well. They have really, really good loot. They have those kinetic blades like we know, and the materials are still decent, I'm sure, especially on Vino as well.
And what a free zone pull for them, just kind of walking right on a field. Have the mountain behind you. Opposite situation for Savage and Vidil, who for Surge are looking kind of fine-ish, but other than that, they've got nothing in the tank.
This is not where you want to be. And this is what I was hitting on towards the start of the game, right? This is a team that's been so strong this season, especially when they've been able to make it to endgame together. But will they have the Surge strategies to consistently make it to endgames stacked and well above on Surge? So far here in game 1, proving not to be the case. They're gonna have to pick things up moving forward. But even in this game, they still have to make something out of it. You see Hydra and Frostroki positioned right now above Vidil, and Savage is looking over towards it, but he doesn't really have much to really help.
I mean, the difference in health for Vidil, they're just gonna have to go for pot shots when the connected blades fly, but no chance there. And it's so depressing because that's such a beautiful rotation for the duo. They can't capitalize on it at all. Frostroki finally building in, and the rest of the lobby catches up. No one really going down on this rotation, but curious to see who leads the lobby.
Frostroki and Hydra, they might find themselves in a bit of a box fight right now themselves. A nice shot snuck through some of the edits there, and actually going to pick one up. Will they be able to get the body though? There's other eyes on it, but they will build for it, commit the mats, and get in and out. That's really nice from Frostroki and Hydra.
A little bit of chip damage on Hydra, but absolutely perfect. As Seti picks up one as people start to move. It's Mertas and Tayson, who, in terms of saying, nah, not confident, they're looking pretty good sky high right now.
Right now, above the rest of the lobby, first move and pulling towards that north side. And as we move further and further towards Mega, we'll see a lot of these players start to fall, but these guys in a prime position to pick things up.
Height kind of different now. A lot of players can blade stall and just look all the way towards the skies. Try and steal height. You have to a little bit overbuild and just play so many layers above second height. That's what Taste is looking to try to do.
Army patiently waiting, looking forward as to rotate through. I want to look for a shot here as well.
Oh my God.
But there were other players doing it as well, right above them. Not able to maybe get too much damage, but that's fine. They ain't well down on Surge. They're looking good. They can start to blade some zone. That's going to help already in that sort of position where they can sit back now and hold T.
Hot off the press on the bottom of the map right now. That's where Hellfire making the most of every single position that they're in. Now they're just taking it all the way towards the clouds. That's where could have even taken height if he wanted to, but the mats, you got to make sure they're conserved. We still got 3 more zones to go up top. Jason, we're stacked. They're locking it in. They want to go for it. Cammy and Sunny right below him. What do we have in tow? Just a few red eyes to make this work, but in the hands of Tayson, you may as well just give him a laser.
Problem is the builds are starting to dwindle, and so it's going to be up to Mustache to really get fraggy, activate his peak form, and start to deliver some mats to his IGL that leads the way. Reason and Janice way below, and Reason has that same job, right, where he's now looking for opportunities to pick players up in the back of the zone.
Patience from all sides, those including back with F-Guard all the way on low ground. Vanyak also falls. Everyone who was blade stalling finally finds her home. We're getting into the depths of Mega City, and this is where every angle doesn't look too pretty. Fastaroki finds a few shots on some unsuspecting foes. He's looking to level up still and has control of the walls around him. Reason desperate now for the next shot. They know they're low on Surge. They haven't really found much just yet. A few options, left, right, up or down. The code says go forward, and they do. What a beautiful rotation.
Really nicely done, but more so than the rotation, it's about finding the refresh. You see, desperately looking around for opportunities because their materials aren't going to cut it for much longer. We're going deep through Mega City. It's somewhere they're familiar with, but they're going to have to really hope his own pulls in their favor now.
Real estate shared by 2 players on different teams in every single box. Vito gets dropped down. No stranger to the press.
Tyson che sei forte. Lo vince cosa? Vince Tyson. Vabbè sì.
On va voir la monnaie game. En mode, s'il avait au moins regarde Red, s'il avait pu être derrière lui, il serait pas mort. C'est ça. C'est bon. Voilà, c'est les autres maintenant, on se tient maintenant. Bidouk. Bidouk, lui, il est mort. Ouais. Tu vois le russe que tu parlais l'autre fois, tu vois le russe. Bah, il a tué le russe. Non, le mec il avait tué le russe. Il avait tué le russe maintenant dans le jeu. Bah, c'est les deux qui avaient tué maintenant. Bidouk, comment il s'appelle? Bidouk qui. Le gagnant il fait ça, il enlève, il remet. Ah oui, il enlève, il le remet. Après, il demande pourquoi je n'offre pas de skin. Deuxième, troisième. 20. On a le dernier. Il est pas qu'il est, c'est bon. Ah bah il a perdu ton Malibuka, il a perdu Malibuka. Après moi je vais après comment. Il y a un cheval. Ouais, les skins rares qui sont dans la boutique là maintenant. Voilà. Voilà. Bon, si c'est ton emote, ça là. Par contre, c'est pas de combat. Ça fait trop de. Saison. Bon, saison 5. Saison 5, quoi. Non, saison 7. Oui. Bon, on m'en fout, j'ai un screen de toi. T'as aussi, c'est un de combat. T'as aussi. Ça, c'est 200 les bucks. Ça, à force de combat, chapitre 3, saison 4. Non, 3. Oui, avec Dark. Ça, 300 les bucks. Ça, phase de combat. Phase de combat. Chapitre 3, saison 1. Oh, bah la 1, la 1. Là, la 2, la 1. Et je réfléchis pas, j'ai beaucoup de phases de combat dans la tête là. Et ça, ce mode-là, il fallait faire un événement pour l'avoir. Je sais, j'avais vendu, c'était gros nègre, c'est merde. Ouais. Les dangereux, ça me tu vas dans la rue, moi j'ai peur, hein. Moi j'ai pas ça, je pleure, hein. Il a vendu, littéralement. En main, c'est des parties personnalisées et Fortnite font. La quoi? La map, y'a rien à la map. Ah, pour voir, ils ont 6 minutes là. Il reste encore 2 minutes, c'est bon. Il y en a beaucoup de compliqués, pourquoi? D'abord avec là, on voit le début. Après moi je tire. Après moi on fait l'arène. On fait l'arène, après moi on fait l'arène, moi on regarde l'arène, moi je continue là-dessus, je vais voir la suite. Non, ça les l'émote. Attends, on va l'arracher après. Après, arrête, je dois la suite. Bon, on arrête d'autoriser. Ouais, attends, autoriser. Ouais. Bon. Alors, 51 ensuite. Ok, 51. On va voir depuis le début. Qu'est-ce qui se passe? Ça commence déjà bien pour Taouzé. Non, pas pour Taouzé, mais c'est pour beaucoup de potes. Il a commencé avec un pot et une grosse pote. Enfin, c'est une chill. Là, tu vois? Je peux me voir. Il va te la redémonter même, Malaboka. Putain, j'ai un mec, tu vois, ça va rien. Je vois rien, Malaboka, il est où? Ok, Malaboka, il est dans la merde. Craque Malaboka. Hein? Il a raspi. Ouais. Bon. Oh non, il est mort! S'il est mort, j'ai. Malibuka écrit. J'ai Rick Malibuka, tu vois quoi là? Tyson des fonds, Tyson, montre-moi Tyson. Vas-y, Malibuka, il est fort en arène, mais il est pas fort en. Ok. Ah, c'est même lui là, le gamin là, de Malibuka là. Donc, c'est tout, oui, même. Avec le chien là, c'est le chien là. Ah, mais il est bien alors lui. Il avait même gagné 1 million, le il avait même gagné 1 million le tournoi. Ah, mais lui, il est bien en argent. Ça, après l'argent, bah, après l'argent, il va dans les big games. On va dans les big games, dans tous les big games. Ouais, mais quand moi, je gagne le cricket, moi, je suis dans les big games, hein. Là, j'ai quitte. Quitte alors. Le pote de Melbourne, il est pas encore mort, hein. Ah bon? C'est ça. Moi, je laisse une galaxie. Ouais, attends. On l'a fait. T'as vu la hein? Non, jamais la cage de la computer step. Pardon. Jamais, non? Ouais, c'est ça. Voilà. Tout vidéo. Hop. Allez, hop, compétition. Accepter. Ouais, bon. La gueule. La commencer en vrai. Un éditeur qui gagne. Ouais, un éditeur qui gagne. Dans la fiche, un éditeur qui gagne. Oh là là. Comment ça? Non, 28, 23. Le centième, hashtag 23. Moi j'ai bien. Hashtag 23, Chloé Weston, 23. En mode s'il joue bien, il peut jouer. T'as mis prêt? Attends, c'est bon, ça lance. Non, ah là, vous êtes trop de la nombreux, c'est bon. Et alors? Ah, on peut pas aller ensemble?
Ando como el gato en el fondo.
Je vais mettre mon ordinateur en mode veille. Et moi, je joue en mode veille. En mode, là, mon frère est actif, mais il va pas parler. Moi, je vais t'entendre, je ne pourrai pas parler, ok? Non, moi, je serais en fait une game d'arène. Après, go, quoi, les gens pour regarder. Alors, on fait bien peut-être qu'elle va finir, parce que. Je lui ai fait sur mon téléphone. Le mec, il m'a supprimé mon double. Ouais, j'ai appris. Non, mais vas-y, c'est bon. Allez, c'est bon. Allez, il y a un mec qui reste 45 couronnes. Voilà. Lâche-moi. Bon, bien. Regarde. Oh, 445. Tu vas pas avoir 445 couronnes dans une game. C'est bon. Comme d'hab, hein. C'est grave, bravo.